You are listening to the Hey Kids Comics Radio Show, broadcast through the facilities of Trent Radio on 92.7 CFFF-FM in Peterborough, Canada.
Hey kids!
Look, up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's dance off, bro! Me and you!
Hello and welcome to Hey Kids Comics. I'm Dan Collins.
Hey there, this is Martin Boruta.
Chris Gilpin.
I'm Adam Bishop.
I'm Chris Ellis.
I'm the Hey Kids Comics Desperado.
I'm Batman.
Who's a villain in Captain Canuck? What does he do? Taking our maple syrup, eh?
I'm gonna chuck my hockey puck in my beer bottle at you. Take off, you hoser.
Gwenpool, Spider-Gwen, the whole heat and stuff, this is gonna be worth a few bucks. And nobody wanted it.
The biggest bane to my existence right now is S.H.I.E.L.D. #9.
When you're trying to come up with an offensive movie that you want to reclaim, it's time to segue into the next porn comic segment, Adam.
How can you not have seen Airplane? What are you guys, young?
I talked to him directly, so I got a mass order. So I have like a good 5-inch stack inside my comic box.
Yeah, right on.
That's below average.
Hulk! Smash!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hey Kids Comics Radio Show. I am one of your hosts, Martin Boruta, and with me today are
Adam Bishop,
Chris Ellis,
and Tony White.
How's everybody tonight?
Good.
Fantastic. Yeah. I almost forgot to actually log in and click the link. I was just rewatching Godzilla versus Kong.
That's a good flick.
It surprisingly is. I didn't think I'd want to watch it again, but it happened to be on, and I needed something to watch while I was eating my supper. So
there you go. I kind of dig those films that they're doing kind of that joint continuity, and they have the whole Marvel universe type thing going on, where it's the same universe, because it's the universe. Boy, I know what the heck I'm talking about on a Friday, don't I?
I watched Book of Boba Fett during supper tonight, and it was kind of interesting to watch no Boba Fett in his own show, and it just be strictly Mandalorian show, which again I wasn't going to complain at all. I rather enjoyed the show. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah,
there's a lot of people online talking about how it was actually a Mandalorian episode, myself included. Mm-hmm. And the differences. And I was just talking to Chris before we started here about how there's a meme out there that says Star Wars fans, Boba Fett fans are upset that Boba Fett isn't as cool as the tattoo they got of him on their shoulder 20 years ago. And it's kind of true. Like, for me anyways, before a lot of the Dark Horse comics and stuff like that for Boba Fett, he was this dark, mysterious character. You didn't know a heck of a lot. He was, kind of gruff, didn't have a lot of dialogue. So you had the mystery, the intrigue. They did do him really badly with his death in Return of the Jedi. It's like, we built this guy up to be this really cool, amazing, and he just gets, hit by a blind Han Solo and falls into this monster pit and gets eaten for 1,000 years. We were like, what? Yeah. What happened? What happened to this bad mother trucker melon farmer? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
So part of it, like, we saw this coming. We just didn't want to realize it.
I guess they had to, I don't know. They didn't have to tame him down. He could have been the shoot from the hip, no nonsense kind of guy, but whatever. Again, it's been a fun show. I'm kind of enjoying it. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, I've been watching Peacemaker.
Oh,
so I'm three episodes in on Peacemaker. And that show is a disaster. It is so fun, but man, it is not for children.
I'm like 3 minutes into the first episode, and I didn't get back to it yet. So what is it? 5 episodes now?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm
like I said, I'm only 3, but I don't want to ruin it for you. But man, it's fun. It's like watching an R-rated Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, just the way they talk, the stuff that they do. It's so much fun. And then actually, because of that show, I was like, I'm surprised that Marvel didn't digitally animate the Falcon for Falcon. They used the drone instead for Red Wing. but or Red Hawk or whatever it's called, but Eagly is awesome.
Oh my gosh.
And he's
It
like
is-
completely digital, and it's so much fun.
It is insanely over the top,
Oh yeah.
but it's fun in its over the topness. Like it's
absolutely.
it's one of those things where somehow James Gunn found the right balance for me anyways of not being, complete garbage crazy and being, like you said, a little bit more crazy than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Like that dance routine opening number, like what on earth?
That was great.
What on every time that rolls by, it's like, okay, that person has no talent in dancing.
Yeah.
That person can't dance. The guy playing Vigilante, he's the best dancer of the bunch.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It is insanely over the top.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
it's fun. I'm enjoying that one. It's pretty wacky.
have you seen Judo Master yet?
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh my goodness. That's
Like-
just
Like I never read Judo Master as like a comic or and knew anything about him. So it was really my introduction into Judo Master. So what an introduction that was.
yeah. I still kind of do have an infatuation with the modern comics reprints of the old Charlton comics.
Okay.
So I read, Judo Master and Blue Beetle and a bunch of other those books back then. And he's I don't know exactly how they get away with that character today in 2022. I don't know. I'm so confused.
Yeah. I'm a huge Vigilante fan. As far as like comics go, I have his first appearance. I have the entire first run. I have Prairie Justice. I mean, I follow Vigilante, and then this is not the Vigilante out of the comic books at all.
No.
Like this is the Vigilante like on LSD out of the comics. He's not himself.
If you don't like the idea of Marissa Tomei being Aunt May and you're a big Vigilante fan, don't watch this show.
Yeah, because it's it's out there. It's a bit out there.
Oh,
But
man.
it's fun though. I'm enjoying it.
I kind of caught up on Superman and Lois. I think I'm one episode behind according to my anti-protectionism app on my Android box.
I haven't watched a show like a DC TV show aside from Peacemaker since Flash, like season 3, like with I think Zoom was like the end of the Flash for me. I'm like, this is not a superhero show anymore. This is a soap opera with a superhero in it. And I tuned out. And I know, and at that time I tuned out of Arrow and kind of all of that. No, I mean, I'm still kind of digging Titans, but I haven't watched Doom Patrol, but I've heard Doom Patrol's like pretty good. I saw them in Titans, but I've never actually watched an episode of the show.
It's a bit over the top too. Not quite as lampoony as
It's pretty
Peacemaker.
violent.
Yeah.
I like it, but it does have it has a tone where you're just like after a couple of episodes that you're just like, I'll wait till tomorrow to maybe the next day to start again.
Yeah.
Now that's Titans.
Yeah, Titans. Yeah, I just finished the 3rd season.
Yeah, I need to catch up on the 3rd season on that. I find the same thing with the CW shows, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be the DC Comics ones. I mean, even something like Riverdale or something like this. It seems like they have that network mentality where we need 22 episodes for a season. That means a lot of filler. That means a lot of fluff, a lot of too many subplots, too much slow pacing. Some episodes are just brutal and stuff. Part of me was upset when streaming started introducing that whole British concept of a 10 episode series as opposed to a season, because we're spoiled with 22 episodes of a show, but it works. I mean, it's an 8-hour movie.
Yeah.
And it's concise and it's good. And it's actually, works. So when something like the CW is like, we need this network mentality of how you build a TV show. And it really is showing its age as far as, dwindling popularity. And, every single CW show I dropped before it ended.
Yeah. But when the Flash decides he's done with the Flash show and they still keep it going, it tells you a little bit of something, right?
Yeah, like
that'd be like having Knight Rider when Kit's like, you know what, I'm done. I'm out.
Well,
check it out.
Didn't they do that with Arrow? Didn't he?
Yeah, Arrow did that.
Sort of,
yeah.
He sort of pieced out before the end.
And there was rumors that they were going to continue with a new The Arrows or Ladies of Arrow, and it was going to be all the Black Canaries. All the Black Canaries were going to be and his daughter, but I guess that never manifested itself. Didn't happen. I don't know if that's COVID that stopped that or what, but yeah, it just seems like Gotham. I dropped Gotham before it ended. I'm 3/4 of the way through Flash, and Flash is one of my favorite characters, and I kind of dropped it as well. And Pennyworth, I watched the first season. I thought was great. The second season, I just didn't get, like Tony. I just didn't get past the first few minutes of the first episode.
Yeah. That's like Gotham. I think I've watched like 3 episodes, and it just didn't hook me, And so then it was like, I mean, I didn't find anything wrong with it, but it just wasn't enough to keep me coming back.
Yeah. I mean, same thing with Smallville. Like way back. Yeah, the first few seasons of Smallville were fun and interesting stuff, and then all of a sudden it became the Green Lantern, the Green Arrow show, and
which wasn't as bad as it could have been, because that show was starting to tank, and then they kind of gave him a little more space, but even then he couldn't carry that show.
Yeah,
it was fun for 5-6 episodes where he was like the primary story, but then they were rolling in. Who was it? They were it was Chloe. She was just not. They were rolling her into his storyline, and I just felt it was more or less just trying to make it affiliated with the Smallville show.
Didn't she kind of take the Oracle role in the Watchtower?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been noticing a lot of the Smallville actors and stuff doing a lot of podcasts lately, talking about different things. And I kind of watched a Tom Welling episode and stuff like this, and talking about Smallville. I don't know if they're coming up on like an anniversary or a reunion show or what the case may be, but
they've been doing reunion shows at whatever conventions they could get to since about 2018. And I know Rosenbaum has his own podcast, and he brings on Smallville actors every so often. He brought on Amel when Amel was he had a little bit of a breakdown on the show from knowing that Arrow's ending and stuff, and his part was ending on it or whatever. Yeah, it was. I've listened to quite a few of them. He's a bit much.
Yeah,
but he has some interesting people on.
Yeah, it's a pretty good podcast. You know who's too much in a podcast? Are we done with TV shows? Should I segue away from TV shows?
Sure. If you want.
All right. Who's too much on a podcast?
I know who you're going to say.
Rob Liefeld.
Yep.
Rob Liefeld.
I like his podcast. I really do. And I love the content, but listening to him talk, sometimes you just can't do it. Like, he will repeat the exact same key phrase, some key point that he's talking about a particular thing 6-7 times in a minute. And it's like, I've literally seen him go, and that, and that thing. And you're like, dude, ADHD meds. I'm on them. I can get you the subscription, the prescription. I can get you the name. It'll clear a lot of things up.
Yeah, I've never watched his podcast, but I've watched his unboxing videos. And every once in a while, Deadpool gets a new whatever, and it pops up on my Facebook feed. Like there was the talking head, the talking Deadpool head. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so he got one, and I don't know whether Marvel sent it to him or whether he bought one. I have no idea. So he's doing an unboxing video, and what should have been like 5-6 minutes was like 20 minutes of like, oh, look, it's Deadpool. He's like holding it up, and he's like putting it in front of him. It was funny. It was funny, but yeah, you're right. He's does suffer from ADHD bad.
He is very, very, very overly concerned about bringing the receipts. bring in the receipts. I brought the receipts. And by that, he means like evidence and proof that what he's saying is the way it actually happened and the actually way it went down. So he's always like, I brought the receipts. I brought the receipts. I'm like, oh God, just okay. All right, fine. You quit Image. You didn't get fired. We got it.
It doesn't at this point, it doesn't matter.
It's all right. It's fine. It's just like we're debating the heck out of where was the first black Superman costume. Not Superman, Spider-Man, the very first Venomish black Spider-Man costume. We got it. We're good.
Yeah,
we got it. We understand. You quit.
I think it's 252, right? That's the one I have.
Yeah, because there's the whole debate, right? Didn't he show up in like a Marvel team up book on the cover or something like that? And one was late and one came out first. And
so I think Secret Wars was supposed to be first.
Yeah,
I think it was originally supposed to be first, but something happened, and 252.
Wait, what could have happened?
Team up.
Wait,
they didn't ship it.
What? No, come on. You tell me that Marvel somehow delayed on a big huge project crossover? No, what? No, come on.
Oh yeah, bad.
Didn't Spider-Woman kind of wear it first though? Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's where you get the inspiration.
The redheaded Spider-Woman. What was her name?
Jessica? No.
She replaced Jessica Drew.
Jennifer Carpenter?
Oh, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I completely didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Even I think she's on the cover of Secret Wars 8, isn't she? Like in the background. I'm like, she's more or less wearing it. It has the same spider. Well, not the same, but like the logo.
Julia. Sorry.
Hey,
like the thing.
We've all had that moment. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was just looking it up, and I didn't even get Spider typed in. I'm like, Julia Carpenter.
Yeah. The jerk store called, and they wanted their jerk back.
But please go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, his content is great. Like, he's got some wicked stories and some really fun behind the scenes stuff, and he doesn't mind, ruffling feathers and stuff. But my goodness, is it ever?
Liefeld does a great Todd McFarlane as well.
Hey bud, hey bud.
So,
oh gosh.
According to Key Collector, and we all know it's infallible.
It's perfect.
According to Key Collector, the very first appearance of the black costume is the one that I own. It's 252. Then Spectacular Spider-Man number 90 is the second appearance. The third appearance is Marvel Team Up number 141, which I thought came out roughly at the same time as 252. So maybe they shipped three on the same week. Then 258, and then Secret Wars number 8. So Amazing Spider-Man 258 even comes before Secret Wars number 8. However, price-wise, Secret Wars number 8 is $200. This is, obviously on the high end, according to this, is $200, and the Amazing Spider-Man number 252 is $185. So,
this is one of those fascinating instances where the most collectible comic is clearly not the first appearance.
But Secret Wars 8 is the origin of the suit, so that might be why it has a little bit more value to it.
I would agree with that.
I'm perfectly
This is actually wrong. It's out of order. They put the Amazing Spider-Man 258 in there ahead of Secret Wars number 8 for some reason, even though it's just the debut of the bombastic Bagman costume. I don't know why this is in here in that sequence. So drop that out of there. So Marvel Team Up 141 and then Secret Wars number 8. Apologies.
Yeah, like there's rumors here that Marvel Team Up 141 came out the same week as Amazing Spider-Man 252.
I think they did.
But then the Library of Congress records that they have to submit for periodicals says that no, Marvel Team Up came out 2 weeks later. But those Library of Congress records are not always 100% accurate because it's information pre-solicited, sent ahead of time. It's not historical fact that this is what happened. This is what Marvel said is going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So there has been instances where the Library of Congress records were wrong as well. So there's still some debate.
Yeah, they have a little brief on it here. If you click on it, it's according to solicitations from '84, the Amazing Spider-Man 252 went on sale January 31st. Marvel Team Up number 141 and the Spectacular Spider-Man number 90 both went on sale February 14th. Doesn't say anything about Secret Wars.
Well,
Is
Secret
this one of
Wars
those
was-
things that if you
Secret
ask
Wars was
Marvel,
months later, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
if you ask
One
Marvel,
sec.
like, hey, when did you ship this? They're just like, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because
like-
They have no idea.
Good.
yeah,
Good
because
for them.
stuff wasn't computer recorded back then, and they didn't
No.
keep track of that kind of information.
Honestly,
Yeah.
nobody cared. Like, to be honest, like, because what they would consider as the first real appearance of the costume would have been the origin issue, which is Secret Wars number 8, right? It wasn't the first issue out that didn't
Mhm.
matter, like, or the first cover appearance. Nobody gave two flying craps. It was literally the origin issue that was the important run, right? Like
Yeah.
or the any kind of substance, but like I think 252, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't read it, but it's just him in the black costume. Like it doesn't
just-
allude back. It's just literally him in the black costume.
Yeah, like
Yeah, from what I
literally
recall.
because Secret Wars was a little bit late.
Yeah.
All of that was all those stories that were being written concurrently, they all were under the assumption that Secret Wars 8 came out and everybody knew what was going on.
Yeah.
So it was just normal for Spider-Man to show up in his black costume in one of the other ones because we covered all that. Oh, we didn't because the book's running a bit late.
6 months.
Yeah.
Wasn't there?
It was 6
there's
months
a-
later.
There's a big crossover at Marvel that happened where, God, it was a few years ago. Something
Every
with the
single crossover ever.
It was. I
It was
think
the one
there's
where,
like
Mr.
Fantastic
Fantastic-
Four, where
Yeah.
he died. Is that what it was?
Yeah. Like books are talking about his death, and everybody reading the miniseries are like, "What? Spoilers!"
Yeah.
You know, and that's just one of the I'm sure the editor in the group can attest to this. That's just one of the things that happens when you're running like a multi crossover like this and you're juggling so many balls and production schedules and stuff. It happens. It is what it is.
Every book has a different creative team, and those creative teams all have different personalities.
Exactly. Now
Senses of it.
I'm perfectly fine with one of the books not being chronologically first being worth more because collectors like it. I got no problem with that. The market dictates the value of the book, but let's not slap, first appearance titles on books when it freaking wasn't the first appearance. I'm not going to get into it any further because Adam's already worried.
Yeah, it's the origin of.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if you think that this particular book has a smashing cover and this is the one that you think is worth more and this is the one you want in your collection more, awesome.
Oh, yeah.
No problem. Go
The
for
ones
it.
that kill me are the previews. Like, oh, my previews from 2000, it had the first appearance of this guy because it had like a 4-page insert like story. So this is the first appearance, not the comic that was put out. Like
Or a full page ad.
yeah,
like
Page
yeah.
ad.
the first quotation marks time that the costume was shown was actually in Comics Journal number 85. There's a picture of the costume with a little caption saying Spider-Man's new costume.
Yeah.
But that's a publication, that's a news source, that's a previews. That doesn't count. That's not in continuity. It doesn't count. Like they have these guys that are collecting Marvel Age and previews and programs from comic conventions. Love you to death. Collect anything you want. But let's not play these stupid games about this being, in continuity first appearance and worth $600. Give me a break.
Yeah. They have it listed here as being worth almost twice as much as Marvel Team Up, for instance.
Yeah. Like what? And it's
For-
like a thumbnail picture this big in black and white. So thankfully the costume's black
Published.
and not pink.
Published sketch.
Like come on.
Yeah. Well, it's like the first what they classify as the first like appearance of Spawn is Rust number 1, and it has like a Spawn splash page in it. I guess Todd must have just submitted art to this book and they just put it in as it's like the second last page or something. So it's just a full page of Spawn in a random book that has absolutely nothing to do with Image. And so I finally got a copy, but I wasn't going to spend a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I don't get where, like, it's just people are reaching because not like Spawn #1 is like completely out of reach. I'm pretty sure that if you had $40, you could get multiple copies still.
I'll sell you 2.
So
just not the newsstand versions. He's keeping those for himself.
No. I'm gonna keep. Well, I only have the one, but I have a couple of the direct editions.
Yeah.
Hell, I'll throw in I'll throw in a 2 for $10 more.
There you go.
Yeah.
But it's just the what like. So I don't really understand why people are reaching on a book like Spawn that has so many copies of it. Now I can see why somebody would reach on, say, like Wolverine, right? Because the 181 is way out of reach. Like, even a 5 now is like $5,000 or something stupid like that. Like, it's
they're insane.
The books are just like way high.
180 is skyrocketing in price too.
Yeah, because people have realized that they can't afford 181, so they're scooping up 180, and so they're just pushing the price of that up as well.
But
like I
that's
picked
why
up
all these. Sorry.
I picked up a 180 and a 182, dirt cheap, like $30 each, $20 each at a convention, just because I thought, like this is the complete Wolverine series, and if I ever do pony up some bucks for 181 or find it in some flea market by the grace of the comic book saints, that I'd have the trilogy, I'd have the whole set, right?
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I grabbed them, and they're skyrocketing in price. They're just going nuts.
Yeah, they're out of reach.
Yeah,
it's like all the second and third appearances. They're all for everything. Like pretty much any character that's seen screen time, the second and third appearances are always like now 50% of the price of the first appearances in general.
Yeah,
like there's like, well, I can't get the first one, so I might as well pony up $120 for the second or the third appearance.
Yeah.
Sam Wilson, for instance, I sold a Sam Wilson second appearance for like $120 a few months ago.
And that's fine. Like if you're a big, huge Spawn collector and Rust is a hole in your collection and you really need Rust because you're a completist and stuff, 100%, completely get it, completely understand. But if you're turning around and saying, well, I got to get Rust because Rust is the true first appearance of Spawn and everybody else are dummies for spending so much money for Spawn #1, it's like, dude, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
If you're buying Hulk 180 because you can't afford Hulk 181, okay, cool. Fine. I get it.
But cameo, right?
But yeah, that's the other thing. Rust #1 is the first appearance of Spawn in a splash page in a pinup. But by darn it, Hulk 181 is the first appearance of Hulk, not Hulk 180. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like that's coming out of your brain at the same time? Like, I'm getting weird finger.
I think at this point,
I got distracted.
People have invested so much money in their Hulk 181s that they can't afford for 180 to become the first appearance. Like even if Marvel tomorrow said, you know what, we are standing 100% behind Hulk 180 being the first appearance, people are not going to jump off because they they've spent $20,000, $50,000 on their 181s. They're not going to let that go down.
They're just. This is where I told Adam I wasn't going to get into this, but I'm sorry, Adam.
If we're going to do anything, when people say it's the first appearance of Wolverine, just say it on the cover, and then you're helping them, if anything.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
just not finishing their sentence.
Yeah,
like Marvel said, Hulk 180 is the first appearance. In the Marvel Handbook universe, it's 180. In everything, in absolutely everything, it says Hulk 180 is the first appearance. Then an Overstreet came out that had Hulk 181 as the first appearance in the Overstreet and noted in the Overstreet. It was a mistake. It was a typo. It was an error. And
no, you can't see it because
everybody in Overstreet is like, don't freaking say anything because once this thing explodes, this is my conspiracy theory, because we're going to get our butts sued to death because we said this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until editors started aging out and we're used to this error in Overstreet that some assistant editor in a letter page at Marvel was the first one who officially said Hulk 181 is the first appearance. Every official document before that from Marvel said 180. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, well, Marvel said it's 181. And they point to this assistant editor letter column in some comic book as the evidence. It's like Marvel Universe Handbook published, the back of the Marvel Wolverine trading card.
Yeah.
That all says 180. So, now it's this big thing. And like you said, people have invested thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars in 181. Nobody's going to back down. No. Nobody's going to.
Technically, it's just one panel from the looks of it, right?
Yeah, but I have an
that's
infographic.
a cameo by anybody's argument for any other.
I
issue,
disagree,
right?
because he talks and he's the main focus of the panel. If he's just like this character in the background, that's a cameo. He is the focus there.
That's a good point.
It says his name too.
I have an infographic that I can send you. The very first appearance of the recognized first appearance of Mary Jane Watson is sort of hips up, last page, last panel. And that is the certified 100% agreed on first appearance of Mary Jane Watson, because she had some cameos and shadows in previous issues. The Wolverine, full character, head to toe, named Wolverine, dialogue, he speaks, he's introduced, last panel of the page, just like Mary Jane. That's a cameo. Well, you can't do that. You can't say that the Mary Jane one isn't a cameo and the Wolverine one is a cameo. That doesn't make any sense. That's non-logical, and like I said, the key things are all there. Full costume, his name is used in the panel, he has dialogue, he's not just some guy skulking in the shadows or some accidental character up here in a mosaic of other characters. So that's one specific instance where I'm like, nah, sorry, 180 is the first appearance.
Yeah. Even Sugar Man, his first appearance is just his silhouette and like the cutouts of his eyes. You don't even get to see him other than just like darkness, like a black silhouette of him. It's like there's first appearance of Sugar Man.
Like I can understand the logic to call that a cameo.
We're that far down the chain of characters that we have to go to Sugar Man for them.
I love Sugar Man. I love Sugar Man.
Wow.
But and if I'm a huge Wolverine collector, if I'm a massive Wolverine collector, I got 180, I got 181, I got 182. There's no way I just have 180.
No, you'd be on the hunt for 181 and 182. Like you'd want them all.
You'd want the three, because it's yes, it's like one panel to start the story in 180 and the splash page in 182 to end the story, and that's it. The majority of the story happens in 181. I get that, but who wouldn't have all three if you're a massive Wolverine fan? Like I'm not a massive Wolverine fan, I had 180 and 182.
I got him.
Does CGC classify Giant Size X-Men #1 as his fourth appearance then?
I'd have to look. I'm not sure. I strongly think they have second appearance on it.
I'm pretty sure it's second.
Oh my God, no.
I'm pretty sure it's second. Yeah.
It does say second. It says second full. It says second full.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Wolverine on a splash page on the first issue of 182 is not a full appearance.
But to be fair, in 182, he's not in costume. He is wearing the cowboy hat.
It's still it's still him though.
I'm not saying it's not, but he's not in costume. He is just wearing his cowboy hat, a button down, the plaid shirt, the blue plaid shirt, and jeans, and his cowboy boots. That's what he's wearing.
Does that specify that's the first appearance of Logan then?
Oh, now you're getting into it.
It's a bit crazy. Now
you're digging.
Now again, if the market wants to say that 181 is the preferred, more desired book because he is on the cover, he is covered in the host, 100%. You'll never get an argument from you there. If people think that 181 should be worth more, absolutely. But like the discrepancies, the contradictions. It's just like, come on, like there's gotta be, everyone says the market will decide. And like, no, the market decides value. The market decides desirability. The market does not decide timeline. I might give Usain Bolt a better Cheerios, promotion and contract than I give somebody else. But if somebody else beats Usain Bolt, once in some side race in Europe, he still beat him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he still beat his record. But you're saying Bolt's more charismatic and worth more and more people know him. So I'll give him the contract instead of this other fellow. Doesn't mean the other fellow's world record doesn't count.
Wolverine is in costume in 182 on the first page.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it right now.
The only one that sticks out is when he's getting on the plane and he's just like headed towards the plane.
You know,
that's the scene that sticks out in my head.
And people are infallible. I mean, people are fallible. The guys that and girls that wrote these CGC labels and stuff like this, they've made plenty of mistakes. Like Captain Canuck #1 does not say originally first appearance of Captain Canuck on it.
No,
we had to like go on the CGC boards and petition and say, hey, you know, can this be changed? It's not just the first appearance of Blue Fox. It's the first appearance of the title character. Can we get that on the label? And that's just because they had no familiarity with Captain Canuck.
Yeah.
CGC
You know?
doesn't even have like I'm trying to think of a word. They don't have a definition to like what an appearance is, what a cameo is. It's super inconsistent. I think it was a Spider-Man book that said it had a cameo of Doctor Doom. And I'm like, what does that mean? What does that cameo mean? How is that different than the Wolverine cameo? Because those are two totally different cameos.
Like there should be, if there's this much money involved, there should be some sort of a standards and practices agency, organization. CGC should take it more seriously, whoever. Now, who's that going to be? I don't know. Can you trust them 100% of the time? I don't know. You know, should the company, like, should Marvel just, you know, stand down and say, okay, well, this is what it is for all of our comic books. This is our database. This is what we're saying, and live it or lump it. Like, I don't know who should do that, but
the companies should absolutely be able to say, hey, this is the date it came out. It's, you know, we have him full in costume saying his name. He has lines. That's the full first appearance. You know that the company should be making that. This is as part of their advertising. Meet the hot new character, you know, and
like somebody should be
decision.
Somebody should be setting the standard, and I can't see, like Tony says, I can't see anybody but the publishers being the one who should do that, whether they will or not. I mean, that's the other thing. Like Marvel counts covers as their page count. DC doesn't. So when you have a 32-page comic from Marvel, that includes the 4 covers, front, inside, back, outside. Whereas DC's like, no, 32 pages means the interior stuff. It doesn't count the 4 covers. You know, so even
Does that
then,
count the ads as well?
Yeah.
Ugh, okay.
We counted them too. We counted the exterior pages as page count.
Yeah, exactly. So all of a sudden it's like, well, you know, maybe Marvel's definition of a cameo is different from DC's definition of a cameo. And so there's some wiggle room for debate there, but still it's like, I just can't see anybody else, either Overstreet, CGC, somebody, you know, but there's so much inconsistency and so many mistakes on those CGC labels. Like they've got this huge, massive system for determining grades, and this almost scientific method of determining grades, and yet you still can get 2 different grades from the same book submitted to CGC. Like I know a fellow, a comic dealer, who submits CGC books, and somebody had a comic book, and the guy submitted it and came back 9.6. So the guy cracked it out of the slab, gave it to the dealer, and said submit it again, 9.6. He did this 5 times until it came back 9.8. And it's the same book each time. And if anything, it's getting beat up, being taken out of the slab and repackaged and resent to CGC every single time. And yet finally it came back as a 9.8 because he just hit the right graders.
Yeah,
So,
you'd think it'd be diminishing returns because they have to keep pulling it out. They keep looking at it. There's always the possibility that one of them's going to bend the spine or tick it or, you know, blunt the corner or something.
Yeah,
You think it would go down.
As carefully as you can be, it doesn't take much to go from a 9.8 to a 9.6 in terms of damage. So how did this thing go up to a 9.8? Because that just shows the subjectivity of grading. But they have this huge system. So no system on labels and categories and first appearances and stuff that they're putting at the top. And yet hundreds of thousands of dollars are weighing on that little freaking piece of text on that CGC label.
Yep.
So what's the answer? I don't know.
I saw one guy, I don't know, I think it was Captain Canada Comics, and they submitted a bunch of books to CGC to be signed. And one came back, it had the yellow label and it wasn't autographed. There was no autograph on it. The guy didn't sign it, and it still got the yellow label. So
yeah, like people are fallible. Mistakes get made.
People make mistakes, but when you're talking like a situation like that, like a signature on a book that's verified can really be hundreds of dollars of difference between, you know, a 9.6 in a regular and a 9.6 with an autograph on it. And again, it depends on whether the person's alive or dead, or, you know, all of those other factors. But still, I mean, you're talking hundreds of dollars. And then to make a simple mistake like that, and, you know, everybody chuckles and people were laughing at the post and stuff. But, you know, like, I don't know if they came good and had the book re-signed, but like, you only get one opportunity to do that, right? Like, again, it's CGC is not going to be like, oh, sorry, Todd, can we missed a book, but we gave the guy the autograph. You want to swing by the studio? We'll get your autograph on this book. He's going to be like, I'm sorry, man, I'm busy. Like, how am I going to just swing by and sign one book for you? So like, so now they've completely missed out on getting this book signed. And whether it was a customer's book that was submitted, you know, like, you know, because some of them, they're like, oh, I want his autograph. They have a big thing. I submit my book. They send it off. It comes back. It has the label and not signed.
Yeah.
You know,
and I'm sure in the United States with their litigious ways, there is, you know, all sorts of disclaimers on the CGC website and submission forms and stuff like that saying, you know, hey, if something happens, you know, sorry, but we're not financially responsible. You're taking the risk and stuff. But, you know, not to poop on CGC, it's CGC's errors are still better than ungraded fraud that happens. You know, oh yeah, this is Gem Mint. Here's a Gem Mint book, and you get it, and there's like 17 spine dings in it, and you're like, oh, dude, you know,
it's missing three pages.
It still has its place, you know, if you're.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
like even if they're off by like a point on their grading system, that could be like 10 points on Joe Blow's grading system, right? Like, you know, it comes back as a 7 and the guy's like promising you, swearing up and down it's a 9.8, right? Like, it's grading is obviously subjective, and I'm sure that they have like training courses that they put their guys through so that everybody tries to grade the same, and which is probably still better than having the average Joe pull a book out of his collection and be like, oh, I don't know, I'll give that a 9.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's still the case, but it used to be that 2 CGC people would grade the book.
Okay.
And then a supervisor would come and look over the notes, and they'd have a little bit of a debate / quick conversation if there was some disagreement.
I would say that probably doesn't happen now, just based on the volume of that they're putting out the books. Like, I mean, you'd have to have a staff of 500.
Yeah,
you know,
it's bad right now
to put the books out, because one, the pandemic was not kind to them, I'm sure, because everybody's like going through their collections, pulling out books. Oh, I got nothing else to do, I'll just submit this. And then they're submitting like hundreds of books. Everybody is CGCing everything. It's kind of like in the 90s when I would buy comics. They went right into the bag and boards. They're going right into the slabs. Like, that's right from the guys picking it up at the shop, and on Thursday it's on an airplane going to Florida. Right?
There's a couple of dealers that get their diamond order delivered straight to CGC for that really? $5 pre-screening nonsense.
Oh, wow.
Like when somebody like I don't know specifically Big Country Comics, so you know I don't want to speak for them, but when Big Country Comics says we're going to sell these 9.8s to you, you know, they have boxes and boxes of this stuff that they're sending to Florida, or they're getting their diamond order directly sent there, and then they're going through that $5 pre-screen because, you know, they don't want to get dinged for grading a whole bunch of 9.4s.
Yeah. So
I'm positive there's some dealers, and again, I'm not speaking for Big Country Comics because I don't know, but I know for sure that there's got to be, I'm guessing that there's got to be a bunch of dealers that just send the books straight to Florida, straight to CGC.
Yeah.
You know,
like a place like Mile High Comics, because I'm sure he buys them like, by the metric ton of the books that he is running through, and the big whatever they consider to be a key issues, those books are hitting, CGC before they ever hit his shelf.
Yeah, like you think about it from a labor cost point of view, right? Your head grader at your comic shop, be it the owner or Chad from the basement or whoever it is, how much time and labor do they have to pre-screen an entire box full of comics to decide which ones are 9.8s, which ones are 9.6, and then package them back up and send them off to Florida? Is it not easier to just take the whole factory sealed box, send it straight to the Florida, and pay $5 for every single comic in the thing to get it to double checked?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. But when they do it that way, you're guaranteed the 9.8s, because the dude that pulls it out is only going to grade it at 9.8. So if he screws up and pulls out a 9.4, he's slapping a 9.8 on it. Like, he's not going to be like, oh, dang, sorry, man, I charged you $5 for a book you shouldn't have got. I'll give you a credit. No way. That book's going out there at 9.8.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
They have a part of their services that you can have it not graded if it doesn't hit a certain number, right? Where like,
yeah, that's the pre-screen. It's for modern books, it's $5 a book. So if you have 10 comics and you submit them and you say only grade the ones that are 9.8s, it could cost you $50. But that $50 is better than getting all 10 copies graded at full price and being stuck with a whole bunch of 9.2s.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden, that 9.2 is barely worth how much it costs you to grade it, let alone shipping and handling and stuff.
Yeah. I still can't believe that they don't wear gloves. Like, I know that's part of their thing because they need to feel the paper and like feel the comic book, but they don't wear gloves when they're doing it. They're more or less appraising it to give it a grade. And
there's a lot of places that are, when it comes to paper, they say you shouldn't wear gloves when handling paper because it's more slippery. There's better chance of damage. There's better chance of the book sliding out of your hands and stuff like this, or it takes more for you to, how when you try to open up a page and your fingers are kind of, so what they do is they just wash the snot out of their hands before they go at it.
Get the oils off.
And
that usually works, but we got a cover the other day for, I think it was Spider-Man Mary Jane. Black Cat Mary Jane. And I was reading comics and I washed my hands and came back out, and you wouldn't use the washer and wash my hands, came back out, and I picked that comic up, dry hands, freshly washed. I could see the fingerprints being left on the surface, and I'm like, what the hell is this made out of?
That's your moisturizing soap that you're using. That's the oils in your soap being left on behind. That's your Dove. That's your Dove body cream. That's what that is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's your Dove beauty bar.
But the other comics, same sort of thing, and never left a mess. Never left any sort of fingerprint or anything on Death of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Just this one issue, and it's
a black cover.
White.
It was white.
Yeah.
It's the what's her name? I'll show it to you. Just one second.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this stuff's coming out of a factory, right? This is coming off of a printing press. These books are not clean when they come out, when they're getting thrown in the boxes. They're being manhandled by people at Diamond
who don't care.
Somebody at Diamond, somebody at Diamond is grabbing they get a case from the printer of the latest issue of Spider-Man. They're grabbing the 5 copies for Gotham and throwing them in a box. They're grabbing the 5 copies for Big B and they're throwing them in a box. Like those books get touched all over the place before you even get them.
Yeah. And sometimes it shows.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you go to pick it up and you're like, it's barely a 7, right? Like,
yeah.
So it's the Peach Momoko one. I'll turn this thing off.
I know, I hate it. That's why it's not doing it now.
Yeah, so this one.
Yeah.
It's a great cover, and I didn't realize at the time when I said, she doesn't like, my wife picked up the comics and she doesn't like J. Scott Campbell. So I'm like, well, there's like 3 other covers. Just grab one of the other ones. grabbed this one, and apparently it's like a more valuable cover, but she got it for cover price. But it leaves like, you got to be super careful. It leaves like marks on it. And I'm not sure what it's made out of, but I can look at it right now and see the little tiny marks that I left when I was reading it.
Yeah,
And I'm sure I'm putting more on it right now. But it's so delicate, and I don't understand why it's like that. But
that's because you forgot that you're supposed to buy 3. You buy 3, one to read, one to put away for it right away, and one to sell later. You got to buy 3.
Should have downloaded it.
3 of everything.
Isn't that what we used to do in the 90s? 3 of everything.
Yeah.
Like,
That
I know
worked out
for
well for
sure.
us.
I know for sure. I had 3 copies of A Killing Joke and Batman the Cult. Just with annotations on the back of the board. This is my reading copy. This is my selling copy this decade. This is my selling copy when I need to retire.
But yeah, it's so
Didn't work
delicate.
out that way.
It's weird.
Yeah, like I was saying when you just popped off air there for a sec, Tony, go get the comic. Like, these books are coming out of the printing press. They have all sorts of printing press, oil, dust, ink, whatever, coming off the press. They're getting slapped into a box by our warehouse guy. That's going to Diamond. The Diamond people are playing with it, opening up. Gosh only knows, like, when you're putting all that disinfectant and stuff for COVID all over your hands, and then you're sorting at the Diamond warehouse, maybe that stuff got on it.
Yeah, I guess it could possibly not be me, but yeah, it's.
But gosh only knows these days. I mean, I remember, God love her, Mrs. Dixon. Every single time she went to price out your comic, she would hold it like this with her one hand, with her finger, and literally go like this to read the price.
Yeah, awful.
Like, she couldn't pick up a comic without putting a spine ding in it.
Yeah.
It wasn't possible. So, on a big collector book, you'd be like, oh, Mrs. Dixon's here. Can I just tell you how much it is? I got it, dear. You're like,
I don't know how she got it, but it says it's a 1 in 100 variant.
Wow.
She picked it up off the rack.
Oh, it just means somebody put it on the rack, not quite knowing what they were doing, or
paid
didn't care.
Well, I mean, I wasn't there, so I have no idea who she was talking to at the shop. But this is a shop we go to all the time. But if you can see that, oops, this way. Yeah, you can't really see it very well because it's reflected. But
that was
$70 there.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, $70 and 9.8, not greasy Tony Whitefinger 9.0.
I think that adds something to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is that American?
$75 because you get my fingerprints.
There's literally in the grading notes. Obviously, somebody used a beauty bar.
I think it's Equate liquid soap.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the post. CGC, like, they were posting videos about like the processes and like how to submit your comics, and then one person even said, like, I submitted a glossy black comic to you guys and you put fingerprints all over it. Like,
ooh.
He's like, it was so clean on the front, and then in their notes, I guess, which he paid for, it's like fingerprints on the cover. It's like, you guys did that. Like, that was you.
Yeah. Poop happens.
Yeah.
Well,
but it is. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I bought I think it was Cable number 2 from like 1993. I bought it fresh off the shelf, and I went home and I was reading it, and then when I closed the cover, there was a thumbprint in the number, like at the top of the book, and I'm like, I didn't touch it there. So I took it back to Ted, and I'm like, I don't know. Ted said there's like a thumbprint on it, and he's like, I'll replace one for you. I'll take one for the team. He's like, but don't ever do it again. I'm like, I don't even think it's my thumbprint, but it's on the book. And so he gave me a new one. But ever since then, I do not hold the books in my hand when I'm reading them. I set them down, and then I flip the pages, and I keep them fluff so they don't like bend. But I do not hold them in my hand, like, just to avoid the deadly thumbprint. But like, it was right in the black ink. Like, I don't mean just a thumbprint. I mean, like, it actually took the ink off the page.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Well,
so
I've
I
had
was
that
like,
happen before on a black cover. You're reading it, and then all of a sudden you take your hands off, and there's literally ink missing off the cover.
yeah, well, the
it's
ink
not-
was missing, but it wasn't on my hand. And I'm like, I don't think this was
Hmm.
me. So I took it in, and he gave me a freebie that time. So he replaced the book. Again, it was only like cable number 2, and I think he had like 40 copies on the shelf, so it wasn't a big deal. But it was like, I don't think I did it, but if I
Yeah.
did, I'll never do it again. And so
that would if it was right in the if the color came off of it, or if the color was missing from it, that's somebody with really sort of moist hands,
Yeah.
and the cover's not cured properly.
No, so there's 2 of you that use beauty bars. All right, we know your secret. We know
Listen,
your
if I'd
secret.
known this thing was, potentially worth $70, I would have downloaded it and read it on my iPad, and it would have been put in a bag right away.
yeah.
I only tend to read the ones that we bring home, like that are not first appearances or like
Yeah.
expensive variant covers.
Well, we've all had that conversation with significant others, girlfriends, boyfriends, spouses, kids. No, you can't read my comics. You don't know how.
This isn't mine. This is my wife's.
Oh, there you go. So now you're in real trouble.
You should see her stack. Her stack on the side on her side of the bed is like, I'm gonna say twice, maybe 3 times as high as mine. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know how we managed it, but we got almost an hour here of talking about nothing. We got about a minute left.
I have a good thing to ask you, Martin.
Yeah.
The Marvel True Believers line.
Yep.
For Wolverine, which issue did they use?
Right?
181, right?
Yes. See, so Marvel's contributing to it.
Oh yeah, like I said, after that, this was sometime in the 90s, early 2000s when that change happened at Marvel, where the old guard had moved out and the new kids had moved in editorial, and they started with the 181 being the official thing.
Yeah.
I'd be really surprised to pull out my Marvel Universe Handbook Omnibus and see if they corrected the 180 to 181 for the Wolverine. It's totally possible. Well, everybody, that's it. That's the show. That's all we got for you. Again, shocked that we could actually talk about nothing for that long. But
Seinfeld made 10 seasons out of it, so
10 seasons
we could
and
certainly do
$900
one.
million.
Tune in next week where we talk about Hulk 181.
Yeah, tune in next week. Hit heykidscomics.ca, your podcast channels. You guys know where to find us. If you don't, well, you probably don't want to listen to us anyways. Thanks, everybody.
All right, see ya.
You have been listening to the Hey Kids Comics Radio Show broadcast through the facilities of Trent Radio on 92.7 CFFF-FM in Peterborough, Ontario, and available as a downloadable podcast at www.heykidscomics.ca and at www.firstcomicsnews.com. Promotional consideration for the show was provided by no one. Are you kidding me? We couldn't get advertisers if we tried. Wardrobe for our hosts was provided by Joe Nerds in Whitby, Ontario. They don't know that fact, but that is where we get 90% of our clothes from. No animals were harmed in the making of this radio show. Marty tried, but allergies won't let him get too close to Sam's cats. The views and opinions expressed by Sam are solely his own and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the rest of the hosts, as we all like The Walking Dead TV show. The Hey Kids Comics Radio Show is a Quinn Martin production and copyright Hey Kids Comico. Rebroadcasting in part or in whole of this show is forbidden, but really, who would want to anyway?
Level check for Eugene Levy CFFF promo. Take 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Good level?
Yep.
Bobby Bittman here. I always listen to Trent Radio 92.7. I love this guy, really do.
You do one more of those?
Sure. What was wrong with that one?
Nothing. I just was, the level was a little high.
Okay. Hi, this is Bobby Bittman. When I'm in the Kawarthas, I listen to Trent Radio 92.7 FM.